All right, everyone. This is Ryan, part of the beta program. I was selected to review the P9. I've had it for about a week. And first off, just initial impressions, I can say that I really am impressed with this phone. Obviously, these things aren't available in the United States. Technically they are. You can get them unlocked at Best Buy and online, things like that, but they're not carried by any of the major service providers. So depending on how you look at it, they aren't available. But with the beta program, obviously, Huawei, Honor, they're looking to make an impact in the U.S. market. Maybe they're going to try and partner with some of the U.S. carriers. Who knows who that could be? Probably T-Mobile, AT&T. I mean, these phones already work on those carriers because this is a GSM unlocked phone, but maybe they'll actually endorse the phone, brand it, obviously, like the carriers like to do. So not really sure where they're going with it, but I really do think it's a cool program. They're really interacting a lot with the consumer. Obviously, they want to know what we're looking for, what our likes, what our dislikes are, what we want out of a device. So personally, I think it's an awesome program. I've been really active on the Facebook page and commenting, and I think that's why I was selected for the beta program. So I think it's pretty cool. I feel like I have a strong point of view and a good background on technology and cell phones. I mean, I've been there since really the start of the cell phone. I mean, my first one was the Motorola flip phone, and everything in between. So I have obviously some phones here. I've got the original Droid that still works, that I still mess with every now and then. So it's cool to see where technology's come and what companies are doing nowadays to figure out what the consumer wants. So just do a quick overview of the phone here. Really, really nice device. Obviously the P9 is about a year old, so it's hard to compare it to something that's current, like the S8 Plus, which is my daily driver. A lot of people think it's crazy that I'm comparing the two, but they're really not that far off. And I know technology is not advancing as much as it used to. But I definitely think that the S8 Plus, I mean, the screen is pretty revolutionary and some of the other technology, but the P9 is really not far off, especially since it's a year old. So you can see, thicknesses are almost the same. The S8 Plus, I think, has a 3,500 milliamp hour battery or something, and this has a 3,000 milliamp hour. So, pretty almost comparable. The battery life, and I'm not going to go too much into the S8 Plus. Everybody already knows about that phone. Everybody loves it. I'm on the fence. I really like it, but it's got some things that I don't like. So one of them being the edge screen. You can't even hold it without touching buttons. And it crashes on me a lot. It freezes, it crashes. But it's still a good phone. So, but let's stick to the P9. Obviously, it's got the MIUI or MIUI, whatever you want to call it, skin on top of Android. Just show you here. It's 4.1. I think they came out with a 5.0 on the EMUI, but I'm not sure if it's pushed to this phone, or I think it's only on the Honor phones right now. But this is still on Android 6, but I believe 7.0's on its way or available for it. So still current, still getting updates. So RAM's 3 gig, pretty good. Internal 32 with an SD card slot, so that's all good. For me, SD card slot is a mandatory requirement. I've got currently about 200 gigabytes of photos and videos. It's about 50-50 between personal life and work. I work in sports marketing, so I take a ton of pictures, a ton of videos. I travel. I go to a lot of events, and I like to have that kind of stuff on hand. I reference a lot at work, and got a lot of photos of my kids and stuff, so that's mandatory for me. The camera, speaking of pictures, camera on this thing is really impressive, especially, again, being a year-old device. I was really impressed with this thing. I did a photo comparison that a lot of you weren't happy with. You didn't think that it was a fair comparison, but it really was. It was enough to compare the two. It was enough to show the P9's camera is comparable, or at least really close to anything that's on the market, with, depending on who you talk to, the SA Plus being the flagship or the phone or camera that sets the bar. I live up in the mountains. I've got a lot of cool scenery. I've got a lot of cool stuff around me to take pictures of. So really some cool stuff. This is an overpass that unfortunately got tagged up pretty bad, but it's still kind of cool to take pictures, get some really, really vibrant colors. And this is really what it looks like. Some people say it was over saturated through software, camera software, but in all honesty, I don't think that it is. These colors are exactly as you see them in real life. So I thought that this thing did a pretty good job. Really, really bright colors, really clear. The greens, the reds. It was cloudy that day, so I didn't get blue sky, but you could see the clouds. The greens are really clear, especially like right here, you can see the water. So camera, as far as photos are concerned, really, really impressed. I mean, I personally prefer it over the S8. I'm sure the S8 Plus, once you get into manual mode and some of the other stuff, is good, but just for opening it up and in auto mode out of the box, I mean, this thing's really impressive. This was a cool picture of the sunset. Hard to tell just on the camera here, but again, get your hands on one and you'll see what I'm talking about. These are some of the photo effects. I'm not going to go too far into it, but there's way too much to talk about. But back to the skin, the EMUI. I think I would get used to it, honestly, but only spending a week with the phone, I don't really care for it. So I mean, I do, I'm just not used to it yet. So obviously you can do a third-party launcher and problem solved. So you've got your typical home screen, app drawer, settings. Your notification is still from the overlay, the skin. I'm sure there's ways to change that, but I haven't gone that far into it. I gotta send this thing back, unfortunately, so I'm just trying to get the basics and just do what I can to become familiar with the phone and run it through some initial kind of impressions and something that the average person would want to see. The apps, the camera, the battery life. Speaking of battery life, really impressed with the battery life. The first day that I got it, I fully charged it, and then I unplugged it and went through all my steps. I added my Wi-Fi and added my Bluetooth devices and set up my email accounts. And I didn't put everything on there because it's on my daily driver, and unfortunately it's not compatible on Verizon, which I did put my SIM card in, and it shows Verizon Wireless 4G when I put my SIM card in, but no data. Didn't get any data on that. I didn't play with it a whole lot. I don't know if I can go into some of the detailed settings and maybe change radios, or I know you can mess with that a little bit if you go into cell towers, or maybe even manually set up a network or something, but the SIM card's not in there now, so I can't mess with it, and I really don't want to waste too much time on it because I think it was, a dead-end road. Um, Back to battery life. Sorry, I'm jumping around a lot. I'm just trying to hit everything. Um, First full charge with some pretty heavy usage. I got a day and a half out of it. If you can see that there, this is a screenshot. Pretty impressive, honestly, for it's, like I said, 3,000 milliamp hours, so it's a pretty big battery. So, you should get at least a day or so out of it, but a day and a half with I wouldn't say heavy usage, I would say moderate to heavy, and still 17% left. So pretty respectable, honestly. I mean, again, I'm a very heavy user with my phone. That's one of the main reasons I got the S8 Plus, was because of battery life. And even on the S8 Plus, I can't go an average day without having to charge it by the end of the day, or you're like late in the day, late evening. Some of my longer days, like when I'm traveling and stuff, I've got all kinds of battery packs and spare batteries and all that stuff. So definitely put the batteries to the test. And like I said, using the P9, I was really impressed. So a couple other things, I've got some apps on here. I hooked it up to my Xbox, controlling my Fire Stick with it. Like I said, you can do the third-party launcher if you're not happy with, what's the stock, EMUI. Camera, I really like all the features. It's got a ton of features. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to do any of the light painting or anything, which I really wanted to do, but unfortunately, I got to send this thing back. So, tons of settings, the audio control, touch to capture, lots of things to play with, lots of customization, which is really cool. And I know you can get a lot of this stuff with third-party apps or whatever, but I really like to see it just out of the box. That's actually one of the reasons why I don't care for the stock Android phones like the Pixel, or I can't even think of what some of the other ones have been, like the Nexus. I really like the Nexus, but again, I like the skins. I like the extra customization. That's why I like I've got a V10 here. I like what LG did with some of their, different settings and the skin that they put on top of Android. Moto's pretty close to stock Android, but they do a couple Moto action things that are kind of cool. You can twist to turn the camera on, which I really like. The P9's got something similar, and most phones have this, but again, it's a cool feature where you double tap volume down and it automatically launches the phone. You can actually change the setting to where if you double tap volume down, it'll open the camera and snap a picture, which I didn't want to turn on just because I didn't want that, but that's kind of cool if you do want it. Again, looking at this thing, super thin. This is the Turbo 2. Super thin. I really like the way it feels. Again, I don't like the curved screen. This thing feels like it's going to pop out of my hands on the S8 Plus at any minute. Beautiful phone, don't get me wrong. I mean, this thing's gorgeous. It's really well built. It's an awesome phone, but you have to have a case on it, so that you don't drop it, so you don't accidentally touch the edge screen. So, but the P9 is just awesome, and I'm a bigger guy. I've got a pretty good size hand, and you can see I can easily get up top, pull down. Whereas on the S8 Plus, it's not as easy. I got to stretch for it a little bit. So, and again, I know there's where you can shrink the screen for one-handed use, all that stuff, but that's just more work. And they made this an 18:9 aspect ratio, like the G6 and some of the other phones coming out, which is cool. You're getting more real estate on your screen, but then at the same time, it's making the phone taller. So it's harder to use one-handed. I mean, you can do it, but look how you have to hold it, and then it's going to want to fall out of your hand. So, um, I haven't been able to mess or even see like the P9 Plus or any of the other Huawei devices or Honor devices. This is my first experience, so I'm kind of curious to see what the P9 Plus might be as far as in hand and all that. I'm sure the user interface is going to be all pretty much the same, but in hand, and I know everybody's going big, go big or go home now with phones, with this thing being like almost 6 inches, and now the Note's going to be like 6.2 and up from there. So I don't know. I think this is, especially for the average person, even if you got a smaller hand, this is a really nice phone. It's got everything, honestly, minus working on Verizon, like I said earlier, but that could change. Obviously, Huawei's here for a reason. They're doing this beta program for a reason. So I'm really excited. I'd love to get away from your typical streamlined type device. I think a lot of the phones now are gimmicky. I think it's all a lot of marketing. So it'd be nice to see a company come in and really offer something that the consumers are looking for. Again, I know a lot of you don't agree. A lot of you think that this thing, the SA Plus, is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and some of you might always believe that, and you're never going to be convinced otherwise, and that's fine. But I like a variety. I like something new. I like something that's going to really meet what the consumer wants versus something that's going to be a cool marketing ploy, or something that's going to compete with the iPhone, or just be something that you can say, oh, I did bigger and better at this, just like the horsepower wars with muscle cars and things like that. I mean, it's becoming a game nowadays, and it's just crazy. So I think that's pretty much it. I mean, again, I've only had this for a week. I haven't really been able to spend a ton of time with it, but really cool phone. Smooth. It's a year old, so there's definitely faster, more powerful phones out there. But everything's quick, everything's fast to load, not much lag. Um, Open up just a few things, just kind of run through it so you can see. Jump, like, here's Droid Life. This is one of my sites that I follow pretty religiously. So you can see. I mean, it's breezing through stuff pretty easily. You go to Google, you go to a news story or something. It's all fast. I mean, I'm just on Wi-Fi, obviously, but recent apps, you can close all those. You can go into your dialer. It's breezing right through stuff. I mean, I don't have a ton of apps running at once. I haven't set up some of this stuff yet. I haven't had time. It's got a phone manager app you can go through. Like, I can see my battery life. I can see some different things, settings on the phone, things like that. You can optimize your RAM, clean up unused, files, cached files, things like that. Go into Maps. It's obviously, it doesn't have the latest processor from Qualcomm. It doesn't have 6 gigs of RAM, all that stuff. But what it does have, it's really utilizing well. It all works well together, and it's really a nice phone. Honestly, if I could use it on Verizon, I'd sell the S8 and use this, and then maybe upgrade to the Mate 9 or the P10 or something. I really like what they're doing with their devices overall, and the skin, again, is something you'd probably get used to, but you can always do a third-party launcher. There's things you can do it. And the other thing I haven't looked at is custom ROMs for these things. I'm sure they're unlocked. I'm sure bootloaders are unlocked, and there's root available and all that good stuff. So that's something that I used to do all the time with the droids and the, some of those phones when you can actually do that kind of stuff. But now you can't hardly get root on any of the new phones anymore. You can't unlock bootloaders, anything like that. So the days of flashing custom ROMs are for at least for me are few and far between. So, but that might be something you can do with an unlocked phone. So there's that option as well. So if you wanted to put a third party ROM or any apps or anything like that, it's probably an option. Not that manufacturers necessarily want you to do that, but it's an option. There's a lot of customization out there. So SIM tray and memory card slot, again, that's a must for me. You got a microphone on top, volume and power, fingerprint reader. I didn't set up, but I messed with it a little bit and it seems to work well. You got the dual lenses, which is awesome. It is USB-C, which is cool. Everything's going to USB-C, so I've got plenty of those plugs and adapters and stuff. Still have a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is good, and a bottom firing speaker. So awesome device. It's an aluminum bezel. It's aluminum back, and then I don't know what the glass is. It's probably a Gorilla Glass 3. It is Gorilla Glass 3. So it's got a screen protector that they put on it for me, so I don't scratch the screen. So that's kind of nice. But everything's awesome. I like the lock screen. So there's plenty to play with. There's plenty to do. Definitely looks like Huawei's on track to really make a solid impact in the US. So I'm excited to see what they do with it. And that's it. I don't want to ramble on too much more. I just wanted to kind of show everybody the phone and my impressions, and that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm sold. So thanks again, Jasmine at Huawei, and Honor. The Honor Beta program is really cool, and it seems to be a success so far. It's got 70,000+ members and a lot of interactions on social media and a lot of people talking about the devices and their experiences with them. So I know a lot of people outside the US are kind of bummed that it's not available where they're at, but again, like I said earlier, is this is, as far as I can tell, this is Huawei's attempt to make an impact in the US markets, which is smart. I've never seen any other manufacturer do anything like this, so I really hope it works for them, and I wish them the best of luck. So we'll see where this program goes and what it does for the company and for the phones, as far as being available here in the States. So that's it for now. Obviously, if you have questions, comment below. If you want me to run through something real quick, or I can just answer. But if you're gonna bag on me for thinking it's comparable to the S8 Plus, go ahead and just pass on that, because I'm sure there's plenty of you out there. But so all right, cool. Thanks, guys. All right.